for those who are joining us, we are having a discussion on Ibrahim Traore and trying to find out if he is what people say he is, and also just looking at what he stands for. He seems to have excited young Africans online. We are trying to understand what is this that he has done that appears to be resonating with the young people across the continent. So thank you so much for joining us. We have at least 45 minutes to go. So those who are submitting, please make them short so that we can allow others also to have their say. I can see there are a lot of people here who want to speak. Continue putting your comments on the comment section. There's a chat box or chat room on your bottom right. I'll be reading them shortly. I'll also be adding another panel, maybe two more, then we'll call it a day. Wandera, I want to thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to thank you so much. I am begging the audience and the whole panel that I want to retire, but I want to thank all of you for having come today and for having continued to support Ibrahim Traore. Let's not give up as Africans. Let's not look at him. He's one of us. And anybody trying to harm him, let's all, you younger men, rise up. Let's defend. If you go to Burkina Faso, there is something somewhere working. Our places, some of our places, which we call democracy, in the Plateau Republic, in the Plateau states of Nigeria, herdsmen just came and mowed down people. And they put animals everywhere to eat your food. And you are standing. If you are lucky, you will escape. Surely. Okay. So for me, Dr. David Matsanga, I am a very strong opponent of anyone who goes after Traore. Therefore, I stand by him, and I will stand by the people, and I will make sure that African Union reforms that charter to allow good military people, not this one of Gabon, who puts down the uniform and then does a final election allowed by France, and they want to sneak him into AU. No way! No! We shall not accept. Okay. I'm very proud to be here to let you know that it may have taken 60 years, but Africa is really on the right way. And we have leaders from Mali, those I can witness, the 5 colonels who are really transitioning the country today. I'm very proud of them, and let me allow you to, not to forget that history. I don't want to dig into too much about history because it's sometimes very painful. But when you see something as a success, from Mali to Burkina Faso, Niger. We call them brothers and sisters, and we're standing today together, and we are encouraging the leadership to come with one voice, one army, and possibly one monetary point. That's how deep it is. And I am very proud because, ladies and gentlemen, I could come here, even though I speak French, but I might be able to express some of the views to see it's very delightful that you will take time and talk about Ibrahim and Mali and Niger. A couple of things. One little example. Ladies and gentlemen, would you believe it that President Macron, elected president, took the phone and called my president Mali? Well, I want also to be president, vice president, in charge of a parliament or not. So these are very painful, in my view, those actions going, and glad the Malian government have faced up. Ladies and gentlemen, we kicked out all the organization. Number one, to establish security. And you may know that Mali has been held by French for at least 10 years, but it has not accomplished not a lot. And the current president, he was outlined and Mali was trying to recover its territory, country. He was prevented by the French not to take the northern part. I was privileged to travel in the northern part of Mali, and that's why I'm coming here to appeal to you to follow very closely as much as you can what's going on, not only in Burkina Faso, but in Mali, in Niger. They're working very hard. These not only soldiers, these are deep intellectual. At least in Mali, they know what they're doing. They clear sense of duty. First, security. Second, and allow me to say this. Some of us may feel as push. They have done very establishing the core that lead the country, and we are counting on ourselves. We don't need anybody, and that's the praise should come from all of us tonight. I think it's 300 people here. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have to start to be more and more proud of Africa. And that's where the proud is, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to say that just to push each and every one to follow and make sure you're not following Burkina Faso, but Mali and Niger. They're working in tandem as brothers. And you may remember when CDAO was going to attack Niger, Mali and Burkina said, if you attack them, you're gonna find us here. And that's where it stopped.
My point is this: for Africa to develop, and from what I have seen and where I've traveled, institutions are what work. And this thing, sometimes I even ask people, let's imagine we were white people and then these white people were in Africa. We will behave the same way. We will also want to come here and get the resources. So my point is, instead of us, I don't want to say victims or I don't know, we need to do a lot of self-introspection. We really need to ask ourselves, where did it all go wrong? Yes, the white man might have some influence and whatever, but more importantly, cult of personalities. This is what has really messed Africa, whereby you'll hear somebody, I don't know, there was somebody who was talking about Museveni. I mean, that's a travesty. Some people say, oh, you know what, as long as things are working, we need to have a benevolent dictator. So what happens when this dictator falls? We need to be very careful. Countries, if they defer to one person, that's a danger in itself. Countries which have developed...
Sawa basi, zuia hapo, muda imepotea.
Can we have the next speaker kindly? I had mentioned people to go in.
Yeah. I was supposed to go.
Then proceed.
I was supposed to go after
Proceed.
Yeah. Good, thank you. It's good to be with you, Ken. I just want to say this. The U.S. Do not have any right to establish a military command and name it AFRICOM. I understand that, when AFRICOM was actually established back in 2007, precisely October 1st, its missions was actually basically to see how they could cooperate with some African countries and improve security and partnership. But AFRICOM has now become a tool to further U.S. strategic interest on the continent. I mean, to the detriment of so many African states. We saw what happened in Niger, where the guys, the U.S. were kicked out, both from the boat bases, and the CIA guys were kicked out. AFRICOM almost became redundant, and there are still talks in Congress, the U.S. Congress, that AFRICOM should be merged under the European Command. It's essentially the same building in Germany anyway. But what I find very interesting in the past few weeks is looking AFRICOM up and seeing the strategic operations within the northern Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, which is directly on the border between Mali and Burkina Faso. that's as far as I'm concerned now. I mean, to some public defenders, that's just circumstantial. But to guys like us, that's really very strategic, because Cote d'Ivoire now is now acting as a large platform for France to really advance its strategic interests, not letting go of these guys. And let's not forget, guys, Burkina Faso is a very small country, not up to 300 square kilometers, 1,000 square kilometers. And that belt, that Sahel that you see, the amount of shared violence that's going on there is staggering. It's staggering. I mean, look at some of the world deadliest terrorists are right there. And these guys, I can understand why they formed that alliance, the AES. They're just fighting for their lives. Yes.
What we are discussing is taking us away from what we are supposed to be discussing here. We are asking Traore. You should be helping us understand who you think Traore is, because now you are taking us in circles. We have a lot of people here who want to speak. You are going to spend on that like just some of the issues that may be very far from what we are trying to discuss here.
Yeah. Well. Okay. I will just 2 minutes. I focus on the personality of Traore. That's what you want. It's a young military leader, and he's been paying close attention. Maybe it was the academy. They understand the trajectory where the country was headed, and obviously it wasn't the country headed in the right direction, and his team came together, and I say, hey, course, guys, that really a whole lot of people. You cannot separate the core security challenges and the historical connection between Burkina Faso, France, other the connected to this whole the destabilization effort that's going on. Separate the French and those guys, like I just said, the guy in our house right now is really cool. Dr. Masanga actually said something to pay attention to. I think far back in 2007, I was a young student in the university. I'm my first year, to be precise, when the resolution, to impose a no-fly zone on Libya. Since we're talking about strategic destabilization, the construction of African states to Western, colonial imperial interests, you cannot separate these external forces from conflict that is going on the continent. And I need us to have a broad and depth perspective when we discuss issues, because we discuss them in isolation. I pick the party of Mr. Traore right now. So I'm already applying some characterization to him. I'll say, we're going to be looking at just one single to solve the problem of the country. But he's able to use people. The problem they are facing, the enormous. You have some of the world dead terrorists that are affiliated to, Al-Qaeda. They are to ISIS, and they already metamorphosed to a group which is splitter of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Same belt. That's Sahara region. That's a very dangerous, place. And looking at it from the economic interest alone, I'm looking at it from the security interest, because that area also that connection to Nigeria as well. So when we talk about these issues, let's have a deeper understanding of who is going to benefit from these at the end of the day. What is the primary, export of mineral in Burkina Faso? That's gold. That's gold. What is the reserve of gold in France? Just check how many tons they have and how many gold mines that exist in territory of France. So there are these things you need to understand that as you discuss these issues, you should be able to separate Mr. Traore from the core motivation and those drivers of the conflict.
Okay. Thank you, King.
Kennedy, can I jump in now?
Yeah.
I thought I was next.
Okay, Chacha, go then Han.
Thank you very much, and I will be brief. And thank you for what you do, Kennedy. We really appreciate it. I think it's not easy to moderate some of these sessions, especially when people are so emotional about some topic. But I think from where I start is the Sahel region itself, before I come to whether Burkina Traore is who he says he is, the Sahel region didn't really see an explosion of military violence or extremist violence before the death of Muammar Gaddafi. Of course, there were pockets of violence here and there, but not to the level that they became after the death of Muammar Gaddafi. We Africans and young Africans, we have come to the realization that democracy itself, especially in our continent, has become a tool to validate political elites coming together or to seek voters' approval. And we are yearning for a leadership that will actually take care of the Commonwealth, which is actually missing, especially in some Saharan part of Africa. I'm not saying that the northern part is any better, but in this part of the sub-Saharan part of Africa, where, in my opinion, I think ethnic entrepreneurs, especially in Kenya, where I come from, and some other parts of Africa, like Nigeria, where there is a lot of, there are no homogeneous groups, therefore, political elites go back to their ethnic groups, they coalesce their masses and then come to negotiate so that they can plan the country for the next 5 years or 4 years. I want to say that he might not have that legal legitimacy, but I think going by what is being said on social media and what we've gathered, especially by the presenters who have been in this session, he has some performance legitimacy. He seems to be actually working for the people, and that's what Africans are yearning for. That's why he's receiving a lot of support. I must say that if there is anything we've learned, especially with the Trump presidency, and this is something that we really need to look at, the West has never liked Africa. We have always been used as a tool, and that's why even when it comes to violence, I'm sorry to sort of, if I'm deviating a bit, when it came to the issue of South Africa, Trump is quite welcoming the Afrikaners, but the Afrikaners are not as persecuted as you'll say the Rohingya of Myanmar. So there is a disdain towards Africans, and this, whether you are Arab African or you are Black African. So we have to know that we only have one country, and we need to protect this land, and this land will either serve us or will actually be our downfall. As I want to land, I think what he has done, in my assessment, he has given young people in Burkina Faso particularly, and Africans at large, some glimpse of hope which was missing. That at some point, maybe for once, we have a leader whose main mission and objective is to lift people out of poverty, is to ensure that children are getting quality education, but more importantly, to make sure that the African resources are benefiting Africans. We've seen lots of resources going outside Africa to benefit other economies. And the case of Niger, I think Dr. Masanga did speak to that. So before we started this session, at the beginning of the session, Mr. Kennedy, you played a song by Franklin Bokaka. I think he sang that song in the 1970s, if not 80s. It was from Congo, Brazzaville. He's crying about Africa. When will we get our liberté? So here we are, someone who is getting us that liberty, that freedom. And we shouldn't, in my assessment, look at democracy as an end in itself. Because what many autocrats under the umbrella of democracy in Africa have done, they have perfected the use of the system and institutions so that they can actually, in a way, get themselves into positions of power through a democratic process, although that democratic process at times is quite problematic in the case of Nigeria that I mentioned about, but with the sole intention to loot the country, to loot the continent. Now, and I think this is my opinion, that Traore is a reincarnation of Thomas Sankara. in terms of their mission and vision for the country of Burkina Faso. And I'm happy that they're working together with Mali and Niger. And when we look back and see how we got ourselves here, is because the institutions we inherited were quite alien to our continent. Traditionally, we had kingdoms. The Mandinka Empire was there, the Songhai Kingdom, the Ghana Kingdom, the Benin Kingdom, the Buganda Kingdom. If we had those kingdoms that had evolved to create systems that had values, maybe then we would have benefited. So what we inherited were colonial institutions which were there primarily for extractive ends, and they were sustained through black faces. I think it's Darren Asmoglu in Why Nations Fail, he called political and economic system. But now, leader, and I think this is what we're looking at, seeing what the ladies spoke about, a leader who is after material wealth, but emancipate their people, his people, both economically and politically. And to say that in itself is an end, it's to commit side in its strict sense. So I think go forward, we will be looking for leaders. Either they come through that democratic process or such process like Traore to actually liberate the African continent from the extraction we've witnessed for the longest time. Thank you very much, Ayla.
Thank you. Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you for the spaces. Thank you for always bringing African issues at the forefront of your discussions. Every Friday, you're here. No excuse. Come shine, come rain, you're here. We should actually say thank you to you and your co-host. Now, my fellow Africans, I say habari yenu, hamujambo. I want to start by praying. Let's pray that we continue having leaders like Ibrahim Traore in the rest of Africa. How many of us can count actually leaders like him? I can see Sahel. I can see a lady in Namibia. But how many of you actually say African have? I can call him proudly my leader, my very leader, Traore. Even though I've never been. You know why? Because he is a true leader, a true son of his land. But you know the problem with us Africans? We give politicians who are leading countries the name of leaders. And they're not leaders, they're politicians. And most of them are house niggers working for the interest. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's who they are. And then we've become accustomed to call them leaders. They're not leaders. They're politicians. I'll leave that at that. Now, Ibrahim Traore, I think he's my most favorite. He's my superhero. If I was a young girl and I was told what kind of superhero toy you want, I will ask for a figure like Ibrahim Traore. That is what I would ask for. If I was a young girl and I was asked, what kind of figure do you want as your hero? A toy to play with, I would say Ibrahim Traore. I wish I could be able to go and buy that car that they're producing that is called Sahel, and it has other name. I can't remember the other name. This is someone who was, a devil comes in all kind of disguise. It doesn't mean it's only the West who are the devils. No. Devil comes in all shapes and form. It can look like you and I within, and they're the devils that we think they're our brothers and sisters. Those are the house niggers, and they still exist. But he was asked, do you want, he was offered actually if I'm not wrong. He was offered by the Saudis to be given about 200 mosques. Guess what he said? We have enough to watch. We can watch anywhere we want. We need is roads, schools, hospitals. If you can do those, means otherwise, why do I need a place for prayer anywhere? My can pray anywhere. I'm telling you, the devil comes in all forms and shapes. Now, with the, I don't know, Americans are targeting him, only him. We will see very soon the Namibian lady, who's another very strong, outspoken lady, and I wish we see many of them. I wish African women are empowered as well. But they're saying, oh, it's terrorists. This is the problem. They plant these people. They buy them. They're the house niggers. They give them all the weapons. And under that disguise of, oh, there is terrorism, so we have to come and clear things up because they're the world police. Who made them police? Who actually made them the world police? And guess what? Okay. They will only use, I'm going to land with this. Every see there is a problem in Africa. The problem is, I don't know if our resources have become Africa, but people group and Namibia and that lady give us hope. It gives hope to the rest of Africa that yes, we can do it. Yes, we can develop these things in our own homes. We can control our resources. It belongs to us. Why can we not have? We don't have one African economy. We don't have it. Why not? Why not? Why are we depending on other currencies to back our things? Why are we not the market of which our produce being sold at? Why are we not processing it?